Hello, stars. We're going to now move on to Hollow Earth. Okay. And if you guys could subscribe and hit the bell notification button, like and share this, I would appreciate it. Last time we talked about some of the concepts, and before that, we went over Sir Edmund Halley's version of Hollow Earth. If you look at the description of this video and all previous videos, you can backtrack through the videos or just go to my channel and start out with number 1 and so on. I believe this is video number 7. Yeah, it is. So I need to go over a little bit of history about how I came into the Hollow Earth concept. Basically, when I was a child, I would wonder about the firmament. That was always very interesting in me. I didn't know why at the time. But a firmament stands for a light, as I've spoken about before, stands for a light in the midst of the waters, dividing the waters from the waters, those on the face of earth from those under heaven, away from the face of earth. And I knew that there was fresh water and salt water at the poles, and I always thought in my head that there must be a giant spring of water up at the North Pole and South Pole, and that perhaps our aquifer drained underneath the crust and ended up at the poles due to centrifugal force and flow, and then came out there. But then there was also the firmament, and we were told that the Earth was solid and that there was just charged particulate from the magnetosphere up there. And I wondered if there wasn't a hole that peaked all the way down to the core. And what happened was I was watching YouTube and I came across a video called Hollow Earth 3D. Hollow Earth 3D. And at first I saw it and I didn't watch it all the way through, and then I watched it all the way through, and I didn't understand it at first. I was like, huh? A star inside of the planet? What the heck? And I was sitting at a doctor's office, and suddenly it clicked in my head, the firmament, but also what hit me was the idea that I had about, again, and I think I already talked about this, about clouds and evaporation, and how we make snow up here is that you have to have warm, moist water hitting cold atmosphere and flash freezing into snow. Okay? Now, evaporation here at the ground level would have to evaporate out of like a warm, moist spring type situation, get into the air, and then flash freeze into snow. And that would take quite a bit, like a huge giant spring, to be able to do that with clouds. The other way that we get ice and precipitation with it has ice is it will actually suck moisture up at the ground level and throw it way up into the high atmosphere, way up into the stratosphere, and it will bounce it with an updraft until it turns in ice cubes and drops. But that's raindrops and ice cubes, not snowflakes. Snowflakes is that condition where you have moist water hitting the outer atmosphere and boom, turning into snow clouds. And so immediately almost I understood this, and I had a lot of mixed feelings at the time. I was like, if this makes so much sense, why aren't we being told about this? So I did a little bit more research, and I ran into a book called The Smoky God. And it was narrated in part by a later friend of mine, Stefan Sindoni. And the book pretty much had a preface, and the preface was about the life and the existence of a man named Olaf Jansen, who in 1829 sailed with his father from Norway, and they sailed north, and they were going to capture fish and trade it to the Inuits for ivory, because they had done that with half of their catch the year before, and it was very lucrative for them. So they wanted to do that with their entire hold of fish this time. But when they got up there, they were holding a good northerly breeze, and Olaf said to his father, "You're always talking about Odin and Thor in the land of our gods. What have we got to lose? How many times can we go fishing together again? What do you say we just go and we try to find this land?" And his dad was like, "Okay, will you brave this journey with me?" He's like, "Yeah, Dad, let's go." So I read this book, and what it covered was that when they went north, they were going through cracks and fissures in the ice sheet going north, and a strong northerly wind was pushing them north. And they hit a really bad storm. In the old days, they would put your fresh casks of water onto the boat and lash it to the top, and then as you emptied them, you would put them down in your hold, or even throw them overboard. If you got quite a catch of fish, you could just buy more barrels. But they tried to recycle them, and so they carried all this fresh water. Well, all of it was washed overboard, and they were left with one empty cask and one that was broken. And so they were actually, doing what most fishermen would do, and that's getting moisture any way they could. If it rained, they were capturing it, that sort of thing. Well, they were fishing, and Olaf tasted his fingers, and it was fresh water. Okay? And then again, a little bit later, well, a few days later, he tasted it again, it was salt. And even when he had the fresh water, his dad thought he was delirious. And he was like, "You're kind of going crazy." He's like, no, Dad, it's really fresh water. And they proclaimed it a gift from Odin and Thor. So what I want to do is kind of draw what I think was going on. Sorry, I put my markers up here. Let me put them on the floor so we don't knock the camera down. Okay. So what we have here is we have them going north in a boat. Okay. Here's the boat with the sail, and they're going north. Okay. And we're just going to pretend north is in this direction and draw this way. And what it was is, as they were getting closer to this north polar opening, okay, in the water, they were crossing water due to the rotation of Earth, okay? They were crossing these bands of water that were fresh water, and salt water. If you imagine this going all the way into the earth, spiraling all the way around, you would have salt water intermixing with the fresh water, but not mixing together. And as the earth spin around, and their boat crossed this, they were hitting these bands of oceanic salt water on the outside of the earth and fresh water emitting from the inside. So immediately I understood that. I mean, it made sense to me. Although he didn't explain it in the book, immediately I started going, okay, that's cool. I get that. And then the next thing they described is that the sun behind them started going away. And I'm failing to find my yellow, so we'll just use this color. The sun started dropping away behind them. Okay. And as they entered this hole, and they were coming out the other side, okay, now coming out and heading south, their compass still read north. And at this point right here, the compass was going haywire. But as they continued south over this lip, okay, they started seeing another sun slowly on the horizon rising in front of them. And what was weird about this sun is that it was half black and sparkly and half bright and white. Kind of like the YinYang. And they were later to learn that this was called the Smoky God because it also had moisture around it. Okay? Kind of a gray mist, but I'll draw it in blue here. And that would make it hazy as well. And I believe that's because as the crust separated, some of the water stayed around the surface, plus it's so hot that it's steamy all the time. So it gives off its own clouds and its own atmosphere around it. So yeah, again, as they traveled inside, they saw this. All right. And then when they got to land inside, they didn't even realize they were inside the Earth. It was just really weird. You know, the sun was lost behind them. They had this phantom apparition sun in front of them. And when they got to land, okay, inside the Earth, they came to an area where there was a massive freshwater river flowing out into the ocean. Okay. And they beached their boat. They beached their boat and they landed and they started gathering fruits and nuts. And they didn't say that there was anything extraordinary about those fruits and nuts because, you know, at the tip of the North Pole, the crust is a lot thicker, as I'll get into probably in the next video. It's about 300 miles thick, so anything that grows there is going to be pretty averagely equal to what we have on the outside of the planet at the same point inside the Earth. Maybe a little bit larger, but nothing super large, okay? And people don't understand, because you have movies like Eric the Viking, they think that the edge of Earth goes like this, okay? You sail your little boat over the edge, and you fall, and you land on water, okay? That's the way the movies always show it, all right? And then they blew their magical horn, and they were back on the outside in Eric the Viking, the movie. But the way it works is the Earth is curved, and the water is curved. Like this. And this opening, this neck, is only about 90 miles wide. But there is also, and let's see, we'll go back to this color, cloud vapor coming through. So you can't really see the other side. And their boat, I mean, on a scale of this, would be like this teeny little dot here, okay? And this starts to dip down. It's still 1,200 miles to get to the other side on the inside of Earth. And what we have underneath the water is the crust of Earth. And the way gravity works within the crust of the Earth, okay, is that it works downwards, no matter where you are here. On the inside, the outside, or in this neck. The gravity is in the crust below you at all times. So their boat just simply sailed over the water, not even realizing it. This sun disappeared high on the horizon behind them, and they started noticing one way down here in front of them. A ghost sun is what they called it. And so that begins to understand how the hollow earth works. And I'm going to keep these videos short so I don't overwhelm you all at once. I will put a link in the description about the next video. In the top comment of the comment section for this video, I will link the previous video, and also Hollow Earth 3D, and I'm also going to put a link in there to the Smoky God, or Voyage to the Inner Earth, so that you can listen to that, and listen to what I listened to, alright? And you can start getting ideas of these concepts. In the next video, we'll go over more of the Smoky God, and then what I started doing to try to find out and prove, was this real? Was this man indeed real? Does this really fit scientifically? So, I hope you guys look forward to that. I look forward to sharing it with you for sure. Again, like, subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, and share this if you feel so fit. And I look forward to talking to you next time, stars. Peace.